All right, let's stay on this story. And I'm now joined by retired diplomat Gulru Gezer, live from Istanbul. Welcome to the programme. Just tell us, in your opinion, how significant is this new agreement on military and security cooperation and also the fight against terrorism between Turkey and Iraq? We've heard it being called the first of its kind in history by the Iraqi foreign minister, and Hakan Fidan called it historic.
Maria, thank you for having me, first of all. I think that it is indeed a very historic agreement in the sense that we're finally seeing that Iraq is taking concrete steps and is finally on the same page with Turkey with regards to the PKK terrorist organization. Today is actually a very significant day. I want to emphasize that because 40 years before PKK held its first big terrorist attack in Turkey. So it's been 40 years since Turkey has been actually trying to, combat terrorism, and it's been doing this on its own. And we're finally seeing that some of our neighbors are understanding that the PKK is not only a threat for Turkey, but it also constitutes a threat for their internal security. And over the past couple of months, we had many delegations from Turkey going to Iraq, explaining the situation, and talking about how we could move forward in combating terrorism. And this meeting was the fourth meeting of this joint strategic, mechanism, and it's finally bearing its fruits in that sense. And as you've said, and as your correspondent just said, that there will be two actually centers, one in Baghdad and one in Bashika. So the one in Baghdad will actually not only combat terrorism, but it will also address the issues of narcotics, human trafficking, organized crime, because we have a porous border between Turkey and Iraq. So it will address many issues besides terrorism. And the one in Bashika is, the Turkish forces actually were at that base from 2015, when ISIS, posed a big threat to Iraq, and they were already training the Iraqi military there. So that will continue, and the base will be a center for training the Iraqi soldiers. And I think it will have a significant impact on the developments we will be seeing on the ground. We don't know the modalities of the MoU yet, but from the statements that have been made, we understand that finally the Iraqi side and Turkey are on the same page, and they're willing to take concrete steps.
Absolutely. And just to that point you made, Gulru, in your answer, you said it's 40 years since Turkey has been trying to combat terrorism on its own. Just remind our international audience of that combat. And as you said, it's important because now its neighbours also realise just what threat it is.
Yes, indeed. Well, over 40,000 people have died over the past 40 years. PKK is designated as a terrorist organization by the US, by the EU, and some other countries. That being said, Turkey has not seen the necessary support to combat PKK, especially from its partners and its allies. And the government has been very vocal about this, especially within the framework of NATO. And we've seen this within the framework of Sweden's accession to NATO, because there are still certain countries in Europe and in our region that give financial as well as military support to the PKK, and that's why this combat has been going on for over 4 decades. But we're finally seeing that at least certain countries in the region understand that these terrorist organizations, especially that have cross-border nature, pose a threat to the stability of the region. And finally, I think it's also important to emphasize that finally in Iraq, we have a strong government with a prime minister that wants to finally establish a stable country. And he attributes particular importance to this Iraq Development Road project that we're doing together. And other countries have been on board, especially some of the countries in the Gulf region that find it very important. And if, of course, you want such projects, if you want stability, if you want economic development, you need to tackle the issue of the PKK terrorism. And Iraq knows that they can only do this with Turkey. And we're finally seeing this.
Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts on this important subject and memorandum of understanding signed today. Thank you. Retired diplomat Gulru Gezer speaking to us from Istanbul. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.